even though we're giving them their data, they're getting locked into centralized software solutions. So they're not getting away from centralization.
We talked about Web 5.
Mhm.
What are you doing in that space? And maybe let's back up a little bit for our listeners. What is Web 5, especially in comparison to Web 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Yes. Yeah, we skipped 4. So people can pretty easily find this diagram. Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. And Web 1 is called the information economy, or read only. So all we could do with Web 1 in the early days was read stuff. Companies put up their homepage, and all we could do is read about them.
Right.
Web 2 was read write. So the platform economy. And then we started to be able to do commerce. We started to be able to do transactions. We took the desktop apps and we had, better HTML solutions so that we could create functionality on the web. That was Web 2. Web 3 then was is supposed to be the decentralized economy. And it's read, write, and own. And so a key characteristic is we want people to possess their data, possess and control their data, whether it's their identity, because today your identity is all with the online systems that you use.
Right.
You get a user ID and password access to your identity, to your data. They hold it all. They own it all. Now, give everybody that data in their own personal store instead of storing it all centrally. So that's the possess, control part. Now, the problem, which is good, and this is happening, and there's 2 ways of doing this, technically. One is self-sovereign identity, and one is, the Web3 crypto stuff.
Yeah.
The problem is, and this has been going on well before the crypto Web3 stuff, the self-sovereign identity stuff, 10 years old, and very, very mature. The problem is you put your data there, and people start writing software to use that data, and we get all of these private, independent solutions to, even though you hold it, we get all of these custom private solutions to use your data. And so what's happening is, just the way users got locked into centralized systems before, they got locked into centralized data and software. Even though we're giving them their data, they're getting locked into centralized software solutions. So they're not getting away from centralization. That's why we can't use software, closed private software, to create a decentralized solution. And that's where I think Block figured out a brilliant solution to this with TBD and TBDEX, is to use a protocol to access that data and have that protocol become a standard instead of software. Software implements the protocol, but anybody can access it through a protocol. And I think that's really, really powerful, to use protocols instead of software.
Would Nostr be a part of this?
Yep, Nostr would be a
movement?
very good example. Yes. And so with Nostr, you are storing your own tweets in your own personal store. And then there's a protocol so that if somebody else, so like you could use the Damus client,
right?
Or you could use another one. I don't even know the name of another one. There's others out there though. They both implement the protocol. So if I'm running the other app and you're running Damus, I can follow you, and you have a database and I have a database of who we follow. And that message, I'm talking directly to you. It's peer-to-peer. I'm talking directly to you. I don't have to go through Twitter to talk to you. I'm talking directly to you over a protocol, and I can see the things that you tweet or publish, because the protocol lets us talk to each other in a standard way, and everybody can implement a client and storage to do that, instead of putting it on a smart contract blockchain platform, which doesn't work anyway.
Excellent. So where do you see it going then? So Nostra is a good example. Do you
Yeah,
see it in finance? How do you see it solving
yeah.
problems?
So with the internet, we got a few open protocols, and the goal was more. It was meant to be open,
Hmm.
and we got HTTP and SMTP and FTP. So which that translates into companies were able to add websites and talk to each other, with HTTP. Everybody could join this network by talking this HTTP protocol. And with email, it doesn't matter what email server you use, I can send you an email because all of the email servers implement SMTP protocol, the same language that they talk to each other with. So I can send an email and not worry about who the email server is. But that's where the internet ended. We didn't get more functional protocols. And what Block is creating, their first sort of functional protocol, a protocol to add to the internet, is a protocol for cross-border remittance and for on-ramp, off-ramp to crypto. So fiat to crypto, crypto to fiat. Okay. So they're defining messages that let me send money from me to you around the world.
Money meaning dollars? Because I'm thinking as you're talking about this, when people make a case for XRP, let's say, right? This whole idea that it's going to replace the SWIFT system, and
Yeah,
I'm not shilling
it's a good
XRP.
example.
It's just like they
It's a
use
good
it as an
example.
example, but this is something different. And so how would it work that a protocol, can I send, dollars into Naira or with this protocol? How does it work?
Yeah, so the protocol implements messages for finding people on the internet and finding the people that you want to send money to,
Hmm.
and maybe doing a couple of confirmation messages, and then actually doing a message that says, okay, now I want to send money from me to you.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what the money type is. The service providers can come in and provide different currencies, different money types to send over this protocol. And so it's a big piece of what XRP would do, or what's the other big one? Well, not Wells,
Icebreaker,
but Western Union,
yeah.
or those types of things.
Yeah, sure.
They have a protocol actually in their private systems,
Yeah.
and the messages that make this happen. But if you open that up to anybody being able to join the network, then you get all kinds of service providers, and no one controls the core messaging, where a whole bunch of rent is usually extracted unfairly,
Can I
and a
press
whole
it?
bunch of control.
When you say the service providers, could it be anyone or they have to be hooked up to the system? Like, could Swift be a service provider?
They could be, if they wanted to use the protocol to, help Swift do. Now, Swift is also duplicating some of this, but they could the people that are on Swift. Somebody could potentially create a bridge between Swift and this open protocols to make it easier for the people on Swift to use it. But you still have the problem of Swift being involved in all the censorship and all of the stuff that could happen inside of Swift. But it could give them access to bigger things if they wanted it. But yes, technically it's very easy for them to connect because it's permissionless.
Yeah.
It's just different than a blockchain environment. It's really just a simple defined messaging, and then there's open source code that implements the messaging, and then people just take it and run it.
So similar to Linux with free and open source software.
Yes.
These are free, I assume,
Yes.
and open source protocols that live on the internet, or they live in the
Yes.
Bitcoin blockchain?
No, they live on the internet.
Okay.
In the case of what Block is doing, they anchor some of the stuff for self-sovereign identity, for the identity pieces that are involved, to the Bitcoin network.
So you can secure it with your own private keys, the identity.
It's more to
information.
accomplish the decentralized lookup resolution. So with this, it's not just the protocol. There's also the identity piece.
Yes.
And there's also you have an ID and I have an ID. And your ID is just a number.
Yeah.
And my ID is just a number. It doesn't tell anything about me. It's just a number.
Like on Nostr, it's basically a hash.
Yeah. And I share mine with you.
Right.
Now, when you want to use that, you have to somehow resolve it again, because you don't have this constant communications channel with me. You got to say, hey, I want to talk to this. And I may have given you my name, John, and this is his ID. So you got to ask the network, open a communications channel to this John. Well, it has to take this ID like DNS. So this ID is just like the domain name.
Yeah.
And we have centralized service providers today that resolve that, but we need a decentralized way. So in a way, it's a decentralized name service that doesn't run on a blockchain, which is very powerful. It's just a protocol that resolves it. But you have to have, so you're going to say, I want to talk to this ID, and then the network will resolve it. But a piece of that resolution needs to be decentralized. You can't have centralized data stored, and you got to be able to prove that the data hasn't been tampered with. And that's where Bitcoin comes into play. Bitcoin gets used for a time machine and not for money, to stamp things in simple terms.
I love it. So it's the reverberations of the decentralized revolution, the peer-to-peer cash system, into a broader and broader ecosystem.
Yes.
Thank you for explaining that so well.
Hey, it's Amy. Click over here to subscribe, click over here for more content, and we'll see you next time.